So what are you going to do this evening?
You make the right moves here, and you have in your hands the greatest discovery in the history of mankind.
Hi guys. There we are. How you guys going?
Not bad. How are you?
Great. Thanks for joining me so early in the morning. Early in the morning, 11 a.m.
Yeah, well, we're night owls, so it's a bit early for us. It's not really.
I'll
It's
bet
all
you
right.
are. I'll bet you are night owls. I just watched Cosmos last night, and followed by the making of. First of all, let me be formal, introducing Alex and Zander. Zander and Elliot Weaver.
That's it. Yeah.
Brothers, writers, directors, producers.
I guess so. Yeah.
Everything. Jack of all trade. Independent filmmakers responsible for the film Cosmos, which has just been released online everywhere globally.
Yeah, it's available worldwide on video on demand and some SVOD platforms as well.
Guys, can I start off by congratulating you both? It's a fantastic achievement of a film that took over 5 years to make. Can you explain to us how you told a small story with epic ambitions? It looks like it was made in a weekend in terms of the fact that, not technically, just the pace. I mean, the pace and the precision, the excitement that the story unfolds in. It can't, I don't know how you could sustain that over 5 years and have such a taut film. How did you achieve it?
Well,
thank you very much.
Thank you for a start. That's very highly complimentary. The honest answer, I think, would be the people that we got involved in the film. So the film itself, like we made it effectively with a crew of 3. So Elliot, myself, and our mom, who came and helped us. And we had a main cast of 3 and 1 supporting actor. And then we had the film composer. So that totals like 7 or 8 people. And that was it, really. So it was a tiny, tiny team to make a feature film. But I think the strength of the group and the personalities made the whole thing possible. And I think it gave us all an energy. So, we shot for 55 days in 2016, across 2015 and 2016. And after that, it was kind of just Elliot, myself, and our composer working on the movie. But the spirit of the shoot and the spirit that the actors brought to the movie kept everything going. And I think, to me, that was probably the most important thing, the most important factor in keeping this movie moving forwards and feeling like it was, meant to be all gelled together.
Yeah, well, 55 days over the span of a year, roughly. How do you maintain a continuity? Because the beards, all 3 characters have beards in the film. That's the amazing in and of itself.
Yeah, it was. I mean, some of the it's made easier to a certain degree by like it being set over one night. So you're not kind of going, what was the costume change here? What was the costume change there? So like their clothes are all the same. I mean, their coats come on and their coats come off at different times of the movie, and their hair and their beards is really, like you say, kind of the only thing that we had to maintain. But we took continuity photographs and just sort of made sure that people didn't over trim their beards and didn't get suntans and all these kind of things. We
did have a few funny moments though, where people went on holiday and came back with tans, and people came back for after Christmas and they were slightly heavier around the waistline. So there were plenty of moments like that. But
there are a few continuity errors in it, but I think they're only minor ones, so we can get away with them being overlooked.
They sure are minor because I've dabbled in filmmaking myself, and that was the one thing I noticed was just like I watched the making of before I watched the film, so I knew the span and the scope, so that's what I've picked up on. I'm like, how the hell did they maintain? It's flawless that it does take place in a night. Like you genuinely believe the sense of urgency that the characters go through. What is also remarkable is that a lot of the film takes place in a car. So it deals with 3 scientists who are so entrenched in their job that they take it's a vocation for them. They take it at night as well. It's their paid job. It's also their night job, and that's where we as the audience find them. Taking place mostly inside a vehicle. You film those scenes in a garage. Is that correct?
We did, yeah. So we didn't have like a studio, space, sort of like an official studio space. We filmed inside a big garage, a friend's garage, but we used that as a studio. So we did all the exterior scenes with the car out on a field, and then anything you see inside the car, including the driving sequences, were filmed inside that garage with just sort of traditional tricks of lighting.
I love it.
And camera shake and stuff.
I love it. I love the frugality of it, and it really it speaks to. I mean, because the movie looks $1 million, but the story behind it, the production elements behind it, really sort of tell a tale of what can be accomplished with a bit of ingenuity. And
yeah, I mean, there are things like, people say to us, sometimes we're talking to fellow filmmakers about their projects and we're talking to them about Cosmos. And there are things that there are sort of oversights that we all have as filmmakers. So they'll go like, oh, but how did you sell the driving sequences of the car driving inside a garage? And you kind of sit there and you think about it as a filmmaker and you go, well, if you've ever seen a film where anyone's in a spaceship, those were faked in a studio too, or anyone was in a helicopter crash or something, that wasn't filmed for real. So, and we go like, oh yeah, of course. So sometimes there are things as filmmakers that we assume because it can be done, because you can get a car out on the road, then that's the only way it's believable. But actually, I think there are lots of tricks in filmmaking that we can turn to and deliver quite effective results. And there are lots of big league directors that, for example, will film dialogue sequences in cars just in studios, and that's their preferred technique because they have a certain control over it. So I don't know if you got anything to...
Yeah, I think we hope that Cosmos, what we're really trying to do with the movie and have tried to do from the start of the process is share it with the filmmaking community and try and build like a community of like-minded people, really. And what we're trying to do is we're trying to attract other filmmakers who have that sense of I guess liberation, really, which we've got all this amazing equipment available these days and everything's been revolutionized, and it's quite empowering to just go, you know what, I'm going to grab that camera and I'm going to go make a movie with it. Because I think it's very easy to fall into like a spider's web of uncertainty when you're a filmmaker and go, well, do I need that camera? Do I need this camera? What software do I need? I couldn't possibly do that myself. And actually so much is achievable these days that we hope Cosmos will act to some degree as a bit of an inspiration to others to go like, you know what, I've been wanting to make that movie. I will grab my camera. I will get some help from some people and we'll just go and make it happen, rather than, feeling like they keep getting told they need this or that or that budget or whatever. So yeah,
that's kind of where Cosmos came about, because we wanted to make a film, and before Cosmos, as you know, because it's explained in the featurette, but we had a larger project, and we kept getting told, oh, you can't do it because of this, or you can't do it because of that. And we wanted to make a film that demonstrated that we could do what we said we wanted to do. We wanted to make a film, but we also got frustrated with having to ask permission to be able to pursue something that actually is within our reach if you do it, if you're not trying to do some large scale movie. So that's why Cosmos is so contained and so sort of concentrated, because we knew it had to be in order to be achievable if we were going to do it the way we were going to do it. But yeah, as Zander says, we just hope it makes filmmakers maybe take a second look at what they've got and go, actually, even if it's like a short film or a music video or a documentary, or whatever it is that they might be putting off, just going, actually, I think I'll go and do it. And that would be a great sort of legacy of Cosmos, really.
Certainly would, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And your writing is really the key to it here, because like you said, it's a contained story, right? Yet yet, you know, it has this broader, the story, without spoiling anything, but the beyond the story has broader implications. There's a much larger story at play, and this is the surface level story. If you know what I mean, we're concentrating on the surface level of what could happen beyond, and that's the genius of micro budget storytelling. Really, in your case, Cosmos, because it makes the film epic, yet the production and the elements behind it are quite contained and quite manageable from a production standpoint. And it's great. I mean, it plays out in the poster art. It plays out in the music. Your composer has done a fantastic job. But, you know, hats off to your writing as a result of that, because you could see the broader scopes. But I wanted to ask you, because this is not your first dabble into filmmaking. You guys are documentary filmmakers. Do you believe that played an element in your production process? So you knew what tricks and what elements to film to make the story believable. Would you say this is based on your past track record of production work?
I think, before we made Cosmos, we've made some short films, and we've done, you know, like I think most filmmakers, we did some corporate work and things like that. And then for a few years, between like 2012 and 2015, we made independent documentaries, as you said. We produced them ourselves and then sold them to TV and things like that. But I think what you learn when you are forced to kind of, turn up to a location, set up your lights, grab your camera, find the shots and interview people and things like that, is a sense of like certainty that you can get what you need when you are filming, but also like without, it sounds like you're blowing your own trumpet, but a sense of like resourcefulness, you know, where you feel that you can make a lot with very little. You can turn up in someone's cramped office and you can light it to make it look like it's, you know, it's nice and it's nice and things like that. So I think when it came to Cosmos and thinking about what we could do with very little, it felt like that slotted in and was very relevant. It kind of gave us a sense of certainty that actually with the kit that we had, we could pull together some actors and we could make a lot of it, really. You know, if we set it at night, we can hide all the bad bits of our set, as it were, you know, our car. We can bounce light around here and there to give it an atmosphere, and we can get some smoke in the background and fill it out and make it feel a lot bigger than it actually is. So I think the documentaries did play a part in that sense, but I think the biggest part that they played was in their subject matter. So the documentaries were about NASA and the Apollo program. We've always loved, you know, space science and things like that. So to us, it was great to make documentaries about that subject, but it really rolled into Cosmos as an inspiration. Really, we saw this footage of ground engineers and flight control and the astronauts and how level-headed and cool they were, and we were just like, can we make a movie where scientists take front stage? You know, they're the heroes of the story. So that was our goal.
It kind of helps that the story mirrors your own production process, in that it's like three guys on a micro production trying to get something done. You know, we actually
we showed we've got a filmmaker friend, Amir, and when he first saw the film, he was like, "You do realise you've made a film about filming?" And we were like, "What do you mean?" He was like, "You know, getting the gear out, your batteries, and all this sort of thing." And we were like, "Oh wow, yeah, it is interesting that sometimes that's."
There's a lot of good technical dialogue, just with your background on documentaries around this subject matter. Did you draw from that to fill out the pages? Is that where you picked up a lot of it from?
I mean, again, with the documentaries that Zander's mentioned, we received a lot of sort of positive feedback from the people we'd interviewed. So we interviewed people like NASA engineers, and when they saw the finished results, they really complimented us on our sort of attempt to not dumb down the documentaries. Right? They were approachable, but they weren't surface level. They tried to dig deep. And so with that positive reference and with that sort of feeling that people respond to that, we wanted to put that into Cosmos, where it's this balancing act of it's accessible for the audience. So you slowly sort of like massage the audience in and not overwhelm them, but it is still grounded in truth. So we did a lot of research online, and we looked at like what the real procedures would be, and we took terminology and tried to make it accessible. But we were having this conversation the other day actually with someone else, and Zander said that sometimes in movies, characters can throw around technical dialogue, but if the audience still kind of has a gist of what's going on, the audience isn't stupid, so they can put two and two together. So although they might not know what sort of a particular technical term is, they still know what the character means. And I think if you can tread that line where the audience goes like, well, I get what you mean, then the words sort of just add to the world rather than being important. And I guess that's what we try to.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, it must have been a hard to balance that exposition.
Yeah,
it must have been particularly difficult because I'm assuming that the dialogue is technically accurate, and you've just pointed it out.
Yeah, it's pretty accurate. Yeah, we had one of the people we worked with on the documentaries. He came to the premiere that we had in the UK, and he's a space scientist, and we were really worried. We were going like, I hope this is accurate. I hope he's not going to walk out and say nonsense. Yeah. But he loved it, and he said we'd captured the sense of camaraderie of the astronomy community, but also that the science was accurate. And we've had people who've seen it and they've gone online and Googled some of the stuff that's in the film, and I had no idea about that. That's so cool. And you've really inspired me to get a telescope and things like that. So that's just wonderful to hear, really. We do hope that people watch the movie and maybe consider going out and having a look at the night sky themselves.
Brilliant. Tell me more about your composer, because the music is fundamental to this film.
It is, absolutely. I mean, again, the Cosmos itself as a story is sort of a love letter to the movies that we grew up watching as kids, that made us fall in love with movies. And that era of cinema was very sort of warm and sincere, and the music reflected that. So, lots of John Williams and lots of James Horner and all these incredible composers. So in order to evoke that similar tone, like you said, we knew the music needed to really be part of the storytelling. And so we actually had two friends came on board the project early on and wrote some concept themes for the film, which we used to help pitch to the actors, and we used to help shoot on set. We'd go like, listen to this music, this is kind of what we're thinking. Oh, I got it. Okay, I can look at the sky in a sort of wistful way. But then when we went into post-production, those two mates, they had other jobs and they couldn't commit. So we found this composer, Chris Davey, who he blew us away. We sent him a concept piece and he sent us back like within a day, like, oh, well, this is kind of what I do with it. And we just gelled immediately. And we worked with him for 3 months, pretty much solidly. And we work with him remotely, actually, like this, because he lives in a different part of England. Right. So we work through computers. But he's such a talented guy, and he's been writing music, playing music since he was a kid, and he's about our age, so he's got so much experience. Yeah. And we would sit with him and go, okay, Chris, in this moment, we kind of want, I guess this is a traditional composer-director relationship. I wouldn't know, I haven't done it before, but we'd go, we want sort of something dramatic here, and he'd be like, oh, okay, what about this? And we'd be like, oh, that's fantastic, run with it. And it would be this back and forth experience where we would inspire him, and then he would create something. And sometimes he'd write cues, for example, and we'd be like, Chris, that's stunning, but it's not right for here, but that's going to work perfectly here. And he'd be like, whoa, I never thought of that. So it was quite an open relationship, but we worked with him in 2017, and since 2017 he is just like, he now writes trailer music, and he's written trailer music for like Avengers Endgame, and he's writing bespoke tracks for Hollywood movies, and he's just gone from strength to strength. And he's one of those really nice, extremely talented guys, and what he brought to the film, I think, again, like you said, there's this grander sense to the film beyond the car, and I think the music helps sell that.
I reckon he's your fourth character.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, because it made the film huge. I couldn't separate the music from the film as a result, because the palette that he had to play with was not just the epicness of without spoiling anything for the audience. There are some discovery scenes that really needed to sell in the music, but there's also some thrilling elements at the end that needed to be on point as well.
Yeah,
Yeah, very
Absolutely.
much so.
He did. He brought so much life to it, and it wasn't really until we started laying the music in that we were going like,
Yeah.
I don't know. I think this might be good, or at least what we think is good.
We really wanted, like, the goal with the movie was to kind of make a movie that felt like it was like a mini blockbuster. Really, it doesn't have the scale of some big Hollywood movie. It doesn't have the budget and then this, that, and the other. But like at its heart, it feels like it's kind of punching above its weight, and it's like I could be a blockbuster.
Yeah.
But there's something kind of endearing about it because it's really just a very small movie about three guys in a car, but they are dealing with this larger idea and this larger concept. So yeah, the score really played into that, and some people watch the movie and they go, oh, it took itself too seriously, and the music got very big and all this kind of stuff. And we say, no, it's actually the exact opposite. The movie doesn't take itself too seriously. It knows that it's something small. And so we want to kind of celebrate and punch above the weight of the movie and go, this is like a mini indie blockbuster.
Sorry.
Yeah. Look, I would you think of a film like Back to the Future, and it's a small film. It's a small scaled film. And if you take the soundtrack away, like you would Cosmos, you have a completely different film that wouldn't stand up as strong.
I agree. I think the soundtrack has done so much for the film.
Yeah, it's a beautiful thing.
One of the things we get a lot is people go, oh, I went onto YouTube or I went onto Spotify and now I sit and listen to your soundtrack. They're going, oh, wow,
it's awesome.
Crazy.
It's great.
You can't imagine
That's so good. It's so good. Can I ask, is Space Gab you guys, the podcast?
No, Space Gab is actually a real person. So when we were writing the script, we were like, we were somewhat inspired, well, heavily inspired. Like, we love Steven Spielberg as a just a caveat. We're a big Spielberg fans.
Can't imagine. Really?
Yeah. Then I gave that away.
Gosh, that's a compliment. And we're big fans of the first movie he made called Duel, which is a movie about a man in a car being chased by a truck. But the film opens with the character driving out of the city, and he's just listening to the radio. And when we were writing Cosmos, we were like, we can't open with a whiz bang pop hook of a movie. We don't have the money to do something bold. This is a slow burn film. How are we going to start it? And we were like, you know what? Like, maybe we could open it with the guys listening to the radio, listen to a podcast.
It would set a lot of the tone.
We could set the tone. We could set the scene. He could be talking about astronomy, and people would go, okay, I think got it. So we set about trying to find like a podcast online, and we came across this guy called Mike Coletta, and he runs an actual podcast called Space Gab, and he's such a character, and he has such passion for it. And we were like, we've got to reach out to this guy. We've got to ask him if we can use his podcast. And he said, no problem.
Awesome.
And it's been absolutely wonderful, and he loves the movie. But if people want to listen to a podcast about space and astronomy, then they could do far worse than checking out Space Gab, because he's got such a infectious enthusiasm for stargazing. So and we included that, I think, on I don't know whether it's on Spotify. Yeah, on Spotify you can listen to the actual podcast that's in the movie.
Awesome. Yeah, the actual soundtrack. Yeah. That's great. That's great. And so how's the release of Cosmos been? When did the film officially get released?
The film was officially released November 8th last year. So it's coming up to being about 6 months out now. And quite honestly, we're blown away. Like, we're a small little film made by a group of friends in the UK, limited resources. And your hope is that you make a film that some people will find and enjoy, and hopefully it'll just speak to them. But there has been this steadily growing support for the film from people just going, I found your movie. I didn't know anything about it. I watched it and I loved it, and then I checked out online, and I can't believe the story, blah 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 blah. Obviously, some people it's not for them, but we miss, in a way, that warmth that used to be in movies. Like, it's in many movies still made. But one of our concerns was, like, I wonder if Cosmos is sort of out of its time now. I wonder if people don't really want this hopeful thing anymore. Anyway, that's what we want to make, so we're going to do it. But what we found is that people have really embraced it, and particularly in the time that we're facing now, you know, we're getting emails from people going like, I really needed this. I really needed to sit for 2 hours and just be hopeful. And people have said, like, at some point I thought you were going to twist it and it was going to get dark and something was going to happen, but it didn't. And I'm so pleased that it didn't. And so it's come out on all these platforms and people are slowly discovering it. And we're just thrilled, really. We couldn't ask for much more.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds really corny and everything, but it was like it was a dream, you know, this experience, because we've worked with people who have now become so close, and we're such a close knit group now. And the movie, when it got picked up for distribution, and it got like a Hollywood premiere that we flew over to LA and experienced together as a group. And we'd come from like a garage, you know, filming in a garage, filming in the woods, and there we were like in Hollywood. And it wasn't like an enormous thing. It wasn't obviously a blockbuster event, but to us it was just so special. And
that's heaps good.
We shared that.
Mate,
and
it's such a rock and roll film. I mean, I don't understand. Like, it's so like, and like you said, it's the perfect time for a film like this, because you, in many ways, as filmmakers, you're dealing with an audience who are exhausting their resources, and they've got nothing but time on their side. You know, and they can come across a movie like Cosmos and actually give it a go. I mean, like, one of the hard parts about indie films is please give my film a go.
Yeah, definitely.
But now,
we're hearing that. Yeah, like people they're saying exactly that. They're going like, you know, I came across this film on Amazon or Tubi or something.
Yeah.
You know, I hadn't heard of it, but I thought I'd check it out. And yeah, I think in ordinary circumstances, I think it would be a lot harder to convince people to try out new movies, really. No,
I think it's great. Great time for you guys. Yeah, it's great. So what's next? Are you guys you're doing another one, right? What's going on?
We're going to try, yeah.
Good.
Hopefully we'll do it slightly differently. Our plan is to sort of take that leap up and, you know, dig our claws into, you know, budget and work with the team. So we're developing some ideas. We've got, again, a range of scales. But yeah, we've set our mind on another project that we're sort of about to start writing up, and it's uncertain times at the moment. Again, like, you know, when's it going to be? When are we all going to open up so we can produce something? But we're also, weirdly, it's really odd, because up until like February, we were going, okay, you know, we can roll out into the world now, and we don't really want to make a film like the way we made Cosmos again, because that was hard work.
5 years.
Now the world is isolating and locked down. We're looking at the way we made Cosmos, and we're like, actually, we might be some of the few people out there with our experience of Cosmos that can make a movie in lockdown. And hopefully lockdown won't last that long. Yeah. But if it does, or if there is this sort of dance between what can happen and, you know, filming permits and all this sort of thing, who knows? So we do have another quite contained movie that we're working on, which is a step up from Cosmos. But yeah, we're just in development and quite excited to see what we can explore next, but still stay within the realms of sci-fi, because we love it. And yeah, I don't know whether you want to add anything more to that.
Well, our original plan was to get back out to America like late spring. The goal was to get out and start pitching and having meetings and all that kind of stuff. And then obviously, you know, this lockdown's come, but I think for creatives, things like this, moments like this, pose really interesting challenges, and I think you end up coming up with new ideas you never would have, and exploring potential routes that you never would have, and everything. So I think as long as you can keep that kind of drive for creativity in moments like this, there's always a way to go, and there's always an option. And yeah, it's quite an inspiring moment, really, to just go, actually, I know that's the plan, and you can always come back to that later, but what else could you do? How else could you approach this?
We say a lot that we're very envious of like animators, because in this moment, if I knew, I mean, Zander knows a little bit of animation, but man, those people, they can create movies and shorts and content, and they could really rise up in this moment where they can create amazing animated shorts, features, or whatever, and
Yeah.
they don't have to leave office spaces and stuff. So it's a very interesting time.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, I'm looking forward to the next movie. I had a really great time watching Cosmos. I thought it was fantastic. Thanks for making it. It was really great. And I just want anyone who's watching this to know where to go to watch it. So can you tell us, is there a short website or something like that we can just click on? I'll put the link in the description, but what's the lowdown on that one?
If you go to cosmosmovieofficial.com, there's a tab on there that says where you can see the film, and you just select your country and it will show you. But otherwise, if people are interested, they can reach out to us on social media. Just search for Cosmos 2019.
Yeah,
will pop up, and we always answer any questions anyone has. So if it's filmmaking related or anything, just send them over.
Yeah, look, it's a great film. You guys are great filmmakers. Congratulations on Cosmos, and thanks for spending some time with me today in lockdown. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for taking the time to watch our film, and
no problem.
This opportunity. Thank you.
Yeah, good on you. All right. Thanks, Elliot and Zander. Take care.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. It's lovely to meet you.
You too, guys. Have a good one.